Friends, I'm back with another machine on the Vulnhub. This machine is the third machine in the series of from SQL injection to shell. I think from the name we can tell that this machine has a lot to do with the PostgreSQL database. And this machine is very easy to do. However, if you are a beginner, I think this machine is good to start. Before we move forward, if you don't mind, please subscribe to my channel and leave a like below. I do appreciate your help and support. And from again, this machine, the image is ISO. If you have trouble to set up the lab with this machine, please let me know in the comment below. So enough said, let's just get started. We can switch into the Kali Linux VM. First of all, we need to identify the IP address of the target after you import the machine or image into the VirtualBox. And the tool I'd like to use, as always, would be NetDiscover. I use the option of I to specify the interface. And then the R specify the network range. As you can see, the IP address has been identified as 192, 168, 56, 252. Then what we are going to do is to do the port scanning and service scanning with a map. To save time of this video, I have already done the scanning earlier. Although the IP address has been changed a bit, maybe I can zoom in the terminal so the font will be a bit larger. You can see what's going on exactly. As you can see, I use the option like scene scan, the virtual scan, the default script scan. And then I use option of -P- to do the comprehensive scan or full range port scan. And then I use option of uppercase PN not to do the live testing. In other words, we will assume that the target is always online. And then output the result with option of ON to this file. From the nmap scanning, we can know that the target has two open ports. The first one is 22, which is running SSH service or secure shell service, and also the version information, a bit outdated, I must admit. So maybe we can use such a sprite utility to search this version. I think not very interesting or useful exploits, except username enumeration, which is not we are interested in this context. And the second one is 80, which is running HTTP service, and also the version information, which is Apache 2. So what we are going to do next is to do enumeration both manually and automatically with web application. Let's launch our browser to do the manual enumeration first. And we can put the IP address of the target into the address bar. As you can see, we got the page back. And here the title, My Awesome Photo Blog. And here there's some links on the home page. We can make clicking on each of them and lock them, so we'll display the pictures. 2010 all pictures admin. Yeah, here is entry to administrators, a panel. And as usual, if you have already followed my channel, I always utilized this methodology when we deal with the web application. And we can try to test whether this panel has weak credentials vulnerability. For example, we can put admin as username and password. Also, I use admin as password. Login failed. Next, we can try to use the login bypass techniques. Admin single quote 1 equal 1 dash dash and password anything. Login failed, not working. So I think we need to go back to the home page. I think you can notice immediately from the URL. In this URL has one parameter ID. So maybe we will be think this parameter ID has SQL injection vulnerability. To test that, very simple way to test is to use the single quote. For example, we can put the single quote at the end of this URL and enter. As you can see, we got the error back. So this is the classic or typical SQL injection vulnerability, not like a blind injection vulnerability, which is much more identify or discover. So at this point, we have already got to know the target has SQL injection vulnerability. Next, we need to utilize this vulnerability for our purpose. I mean, for example, like enumerate databases information, dump data from the database, even run commands directly, depending on the version of my SQL, not SQL databases, sorry, because at this moment, we didn't know the version of database. Of course, from this one, we can guess or deduce that the target database is not MySQL. So next, I think we can use the SQL map utility to do the automatic exportation. So now we can go back to the terminal and launch our SQL map and use option of U to specify the URL, because here the possible vulnerable parameter is submitted in the HTTP and the method is get, HTTP get. So we do not need, for example, use Bubble Suite to intercept the request and save the request into the file, then launch SQL map to do the testing. This case would be very easy. We just copy this URL and put it in here. Single quotes and the level. Press enter. For now, we just wait for this to be completed to see whether SQL map can identify or confirm it is vulnerable. Do you want to keep testing the others? No. Next, I think we need to enumerate the databases by the option of DBS. As you can see over here, the 3 available databases on the target, and we can enumerate database one by one. For example, this one. Tables so many tables, but I think we want to retrieve data from the users table. Apparently, the user table is not inside this database. So maybe we need to enumerate this one, public. Public tables. Yeah. The 3 tables, including users, inside this database. And we can use option of T, users, and dump. Maybe I can use batch option to complete the entire process automatically. Maybe I do not use batch. Use common column existence. Check. The SQL map utility is trying to get the column information for this table, user table. As you can see, the first column is ID, and second one is password, and users login. Do you want to store hashes to a temporary file for eventual further processing with other tools? Of course. Do you want to crack them via dictionary-based attack? No. I want to crack it later by other tools. As you can see, we got the password, the users, and the password. We can copy this password, and this password is encrypted. And we can use hash identifier to know the hash type. The possible hash is MD5. Next, we can write this hash into the file. Then we can use John the Ripper to crack it. Of course, very important to specify the format. Otherwise, John the Ripper will not succeed in cracking. Because I've already made crack earlier, so the John the Ripper will not go through the process of cracking again. So we can use John the Ripper with option of show to display the cracked password. Next, we can log in to the administrator panel, what we have already discovered during stage of manual enumeration. Admin, login. Yeah, very similar to the other machines in this series. So next we can add a new picture. Next objective for us is to upload PHP reverse shell, and we can get this shell file from my toolsets directory, and we need to do some modification. We need to modify the IP address of the attacking machine to our Kali Linux. And I'd like to change the port number to my favorite one, 555. And we can write and quit Then we can go back to this administration panel. We can use any title, for example, like JSON. And then we can browse to our working directory, select add no PHP. It means that there's some filtering or control in place on the target or on the server side. So we need to bypass such filtering. To do that, we need to try several ways or techniques. And again, we need to get help from the internet. And this website is full of different techniques, which which is very important for the bypass just I mentioned. And we can, for example, bypass a file extension checks. If these techniques cannot work, and then we need to try to use other techniques. For example, in the second machine, I utilize this technique to bypass. In this case, because this machine is very easy, we just use this option or this technique, change the extension or capitalize this letter, and then we can go back, we can copy. So then we can create another file. The content is the same exactly, except the extension, we made some adjustment or modification to bypass which try to bypass the filtering. And now we go back, we can use test or JSON, which doesn't matter, and we can browse to working directory, add. As you can see, the file has been uploaded successfully. And then, of course, we need to set up the listener to receive the collection from the target, because this is the PHP reverse shell file. Press enter. Now we can click. As you can see, we got the collection from the target. If you don't like this shell, we can spawn the bash session. All right, we don't need to make privilege escalation for this machine. So that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you in the next one. Bye. Have a nice day.